Hello everyone, I'm Mr.Graveveil, a horror storyteller. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos like this. Now, let's begin. I didn't plan on stopping. The motel wasn't on any list, and I'd passed at least 4 better-looking places earlier that day. But after 7 hours on the road and a dying phone battery, that pale blue vacancy sign blinking through the trees looked almost like an invitation. The place was tucked just off the highway, half hidden by a row of overgrown hedges and a crumbling fence. I pulled into the lot around 8:40 p.m. There were only 2 other cars parked, both dusty, both empty. The reception was a narrow booth behind glass, lit by a buzzing fluorescent light that made everything inside look slightly green. A man appeared behind the window without warning, thin, older, face drawn tight like someone who hadn't slept in years. "Room?" he asked, not looking at me. "Just one night." He slid a physical key through the slot. No ID, no form, just a grunt and the number 214 scratched into a plastic tag. I should have asked more questions. Should have turned around. But I didn't. The room was on the 2nd floor, last door to the left, facing the pool. The window was large, curtain drawn halfway, and from inside I could see the glint of the water reflecting dim yellow light. It should have been peaceful, but there was something wrong about how quiet it was. Not the kind of quiet that lets you rest, more like the air itself was waiting for something. I dropped my bag, turned the lock, and told myself I was just tired. Just tired. I tried to sleep. I really did. But something about that room made the air feel too dense, like every breath took effort. The walls groaned every time the wind pushed against them. The light above the sink buzzed faintly, irregular, like a dying fly trapped inside glass. I turned off the lamp beside the bed, laid flat, and stared at the ceiling. It had a water stain shaped like a handprint. I told myself that was a coincidence. The AC kicked on with a loud rattle. I counted 3 full rotations of the fan before the noise cut out again. Silence came back, heavier than before. And that's when I looked out the window. At first, I didn't see anything. The pool looked deserted, still as a mirror, lit only by one pale bulb on a crooked post. Then my eyes adjusted. There he was. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, standing near the pool's edge at the far side. He wasn't moving, not even a little. No smoke in his hand. No foam glow on his face. Just standing there. Fixed, watching. I didn't move. Just stared back. Seconds passed. Maybe a minute. I blinked hard, pulled the curtain halfway shut. When I peeked again, he was gone. I sat back on the bed, pulse tapping fast against my throat. Tried to tell myself it was just someone stretching their legs. Harmless. But he hadn't looked around, hadn't paced. No sense of motion at all. He was looking at my window. And the worst part? The pool gate was locked. I saw the chain myself when I parked. No one should have been inside. I didn't sleep much after that. Left the lamp on, sat half upright, just listening. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was tight, like the room itself was holding its breath. The next day, I tried to dismiss it. Maybe he was a guest. Maybe I was overtired. Either way, I left the motel early and drove aimlessly for hours, just to avoid going back. Found a coffee shop 20 miles up the highway and lingered there until the sun started dipping again. When I returned, the lot was still half empty, my room untouched. Curtains still halfway drawn. I told myself to relax. I even opened a book, tried to read. Tried to convince myself I still had a normal evening ahead. But when the clock on the nightstand hit 2:11 a.m., my body tensed. I hadn't set an alarm. I hadn't looked at the time all night. But at 2:11, I sat up. Wide awake, listening. And at 2:13, I stood and walked slowly to the window. Same man, same spot. By the edge of the pool, motionless, facing the building. His head was angled slightly upward this time. Not toward the sky, toward my window. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a dream. I stepped back, breath shallow, heart thudding loud enough to feel in my ribs. I shut the curtain fully. Then I turned off the lamp, sat in the dark. I didn't look again, but I didn't sleep either. I waited, listening for footsteps, keys, breathing anything. Nothing came, and maybe that was worse. The next night, it happened again. 2:13 on the dot. I hadn't meant to stay up, but I was already sitting at the desk when I noticed the time. Something like instinct had me rising slowly and pulling the curtain just an inch. There he was, again, exactly where I expected him to be. I whispered aloud, "What do you want?" But there was no answer. Of course there wasn't, just silence. That third night came colder than the others. Wind pushed hard against the window, whistling through the edges like the motel itself was breathing. Curtains stayed drawn. No more peeking. If he was there, it didn't matter. Not seeing felt safer than knowing. A low thump broke the silence around 2:30. Not sharp, soft, deliberate. Then another. The sound of something wet meeting solid ground. Tension tightened in the chest like a knot. Every muscle locked, listening. The TV screen glowed silently, paused on some forgotten movie frame. Stillness wrapped the room like plastic. The hallway outside remained quiet. No footsteps, no voices. But something didn't feel right. Drawn to the window despite every warning, the curtain parted just slightly. Below, the pool area was empty. Light from the lone lamp stuttered across broken tiles. But on the concrete path leading around the water, the truth waited footprints. Damp, spaced evenly, tracking from the far end of the pool toward the stairwell. Toward this room. They reached the door, then turned back. Someone had walked up, stopped outside, then left. Not in a hurry. No smudges, no dragging. Each step clean, direct. The curtain closed fast. Chest pounding now. Not from fear of shadows, but because it meant he'd been close. Close enough to reach the handle. Lock checked again. Chain slid tight. Chair wedged hard beneath the knob, angling backward like a barricade built in silence. No calls, no backup. Reception shut down hours ago. That key tag might as well have come from a flea market. No one to ask, no one watching. The night stretched slow and endless. At one point, around 4:15, something shifted outside. Just a whisper of movement near the far end of the lot. Nothing followed it. By morning, no trace remained. Concrete dry. Footprints gone, like it never happened. But it did. Sunlight did nothing to help. The morning looked normal, but it felt off as if the world outside was pretending not to know what had happened. Walked down to the vending machine, trying to shake the dread, and noticed something strange. The front office was dark. No clerk, no sign. The door was locked from the inside. The bell on the counter sat untouched, like it hadn't been rung in weeks. Back in the room, the bed looked just like I left it. Same creased sheets, same crooked pillow. But something had shifted. There was a smell faint, sharp. Cigarette smoke. Not the kind that lingers from an old room. Fresh, recent. I don't smoke. The room had been sealed all night. The lamp on the desk was switched to low, though I clearly remembered leaving it off. One of my shoes was out of place, angled away from the wall. And the worst part? A piece of folded paper sat on the nightstand. Plain white, no markings, not there before. I stared at it for minutes. Didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to know. Eventually, I reached for it, unfolded slowly, careful not to breathe. Inside, written in uneven block letters with a cheap pen, was my name, nothing else. Just that. My name. I dropped it, backed away like it had burned me. Every instinct screamed to leave, now. But when I reached for the key, it wasn't on the desk. It had been left next to the lamp the night before. Gone. Panic rose quick and raw. Started checking drawers, under the bed, even behind the mini fridge. Nothing. Then I spotted it on the floor beside the curtain. Right under the window. as if someone had placed it there after watching from outside. Snatched it, grabbed my bag. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Couldn't drive in that state, so I waited. Tried to breathe, tried to think. Each second stretched like a warning. Whatever this was, it wasn't random. Someone had been inside. Someone close enough to write my name. Someone who wanted me to know it. I couldn't stay another night. By sunset, the bag was packed and the key clenched so tight in my hand it left an imprint. The car started fine, GPS loaded. But as I pulled out of the lot, something stopped me. The front office lights were on. The same ones that had been off all morning. The bell on the desk was gone. A different man stood inside, pale, clean-shaven, friendly, even wearing a branded polo shirt with the motel's name stitched in. I walked in, shaky. Asked about last night's clerk. He frowned. Said no one matching that description worked there. Said the office had closed at 10 p.m. the past 3 nights. No exceptions. Cameras, according to him, weren't functional. Still waiting on maintenance, he said, like it mattered. I asked if the pool was open. He looked confused. Then told me the pool had been drained for weeks. Unsafe tiles. Cracked foundation. They'd posted signs and locked the gate. No one's supposed to be out there, he said. My voice nearly cracked. I saw someone standing by the diving board for 3 nights. He just stared. I thanked him and left. Back in the car, I circled the lot once. Couldn't help myself. Needed proof. The gate still chained. Padlock rusted. A laminated paper flapped lazily against the fence. Closed for repairs. No water. Just an empty hole lined with broken tiles and scattered leaves. There had been no reflection. No water to reflect. That man, whoever he was, had been standing in an empty pit, watching me. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't stop driving until morning. 3 days later, I got a call from the company that booked the room. They asked why I hadn't stayed. Said the room had never been checked into. According to the system, I'd canceled the reservation hours before arrival. No one was supposed to be there. I moved cities 2 months later. New job, new place, new number. Changed everything, trying to leave that weekend behind. But some nights, when the air is too still and the silence feels wrong, I catch myself staring at the blinds, wondering. It's never the shape of a man that I see. It's the feeling. Like a weight pressing through the wall. A presence just outside, waiting without moving. I haven't booked another motel since. But sometimes, late at night, I open my phone and check that old reservation system, just to make sure it still says canceled. Just to be sure the room isn't showing as occupied. After 9 hours on the road and 2 hours of night driving through unfamiliar towns, every exit started to feel the same. That stretch of highway had long patches with no signs, no gas stations, nothing but trees and flat land. So when I saw the small green sign that read Motel to 1 mile, I turned without thinking twice. It was late. 12:47 a.m., the place sat just off a service road. No neon, just a faded wooden board lit by a single floodlight. There were maybe 20 rooms in a straight line, all on one floor. Most of them dark. I pulled into the lot slowly, scanning. No other cars were parked at the far end. I chose a spot in the corner, next to a broken lamppost, thinking it would be quieter. Looking back now, that was a mistake. The check-in window was closed, but a buzzer brought out a man from the back. Mid-40s, unshaven, wearing a faded shirt and no name tag. He didn't say much. Handed me a key and asked for cash. No receipt. Room 17. Inside, everything felt still. The bed was stiff. The sheets smelled like bleach, and the AC clicked loudly every time the compressor kicked in. I dropped my bag, checked the lock, and closed the blinds tightly. From the window, I could see my car. It looked so alone, sitting at the edge of the empty lot. I tried not to think about that. Turned on the TV to some late-night show, hoping background noise would help me sleep. But the volume was uneven, too loud on one setting, too low on the next. I lay back fully dressed. Just wanted to rest a few hours and leave before sunrise. Outside, the wind picked up. A plastic bag danced across the pavement, got caught on the bumper of a pickup several spaces away. That was the last thing I remember before dozing off. Not fear, not panic, just the thought, why did I park so far from the entrance? Sometime around 3:20 a.m., I woke up without knowing why. No noise, no nightmare, just alert. Like something had changed in the room while I was asleep. The air felt colder than before. My skin prickled like it had been exposed to a draft, but the windows were sealed and the AC had shut off on its own. I sat up slowly, listened, then I heard it. A faint sound outside, quick and delicate, like footsteps but not on pavement. It was softer, irregular, the kind of noise made when someone shifts weight on gravel. I stayed still, didn't go to the window, didn't move. I just listened. Another sound. This one sharper, like something brushed against metal, then silence. I told myself it was wind, or maybe an animal, but that part of the lot was empty. I had parked next to nothing, no dumpsters, no shrubs, no vending machines, just open space and that dead lamppost. I couldn't explain the heaviness in my chest. It wasn't fear exactly. It was like my body had already decided something was wrong, and my mind was trying to catch up. I reached for my phone. 3:27 a.m., no messages, no service. The signal had been weak when I arrived, but this time the icon showed nothing. Just a blank bar. I turned off the screen and lay back down, eyes fixed on the ceiling, ears straining to pick up anything. The TV still played in the background, some rerun of a crime show, but it felt distant now, like the sound wasn't coming from inside the room anymore. Then I heard it again, closer, not a step, not a scrape, a breath. Not mine, short, controlled, like someone exhaling through their nose, trying not to be heard, right outside the window. I held my own breath for what felt like a full minute. Nothing, then a click. Not from the door, but from somewhere nearby, like a latch resetting. Faint, but deliberate. I stayed still until the first light crept in through the blinds. Never looked. Never moved. And for some reason, when morning came, I was more afraid of what I might find if I opened that curtain than anything I'd imagined during the night. The sunlight hit the blinds with enough force to pull me out of whatever light sleep I'd managed. I didn't waste time. Got dressed, packed fast, didn't even check the mirror. I just wanted to be in the car and gone. The second I stepped outside, I knew something wasn't right. The air was too quiet, not peaceful, stagnant. And my car, parked where I left it at the edge of the lot, looked like it'd been visited. The gravel around it was disturbed. The rest of the lot was smooth, undisturbed. But near my car, footprints, multiple sets looped in uneven circles. Some tight around the driver's side, others wide near the back. I hadn't walked there. I went straight from the door to the room. I walked closer. The prints weren't dusty. They were damp. The kind you don't notice until the light hits just right. The back door, driver's side, wasn't shut all the way. I stopped 3 feet short, stared. The seal was broken just enough to show the interior in shadow. I know I locked it. I opened the door, slowly. Inside, everything looked normal until I noticed the overnight bag. The zipper was halfway open. Not yanked, not rummaged, just open. The flap lifted like someone had looked inside and left it exactly how they found it. Nothing stolen. Not my wallet. Not the clothes. But things weren't in the order I packed them. My deodorant was in the wrong pouch. The inside of the car smelled faintly different too, like something chemical, sterile, that didn't belong to me. The air had that stillness you get after someone leaves a room too quietly. I locked the door fast, spun around, and walked straight to the front office. The man from check-in was there again. Same face, same tired eyes. I told him someone had been inside my car. He didn't even blink. Could have been a raccoon, he said. They check for food. There were footprints, I said. Human. He looked out the window, then shrugged. You sure you locked it? I didn't answer. I just walked back. As I reached the car, something hit me. The prints, they surrounded the car, circled close, but none of them led away. None faded toward the sidewalk. None pointed toward the rooms. They just stopped. I looked around the lot one more time. There was no one. But I had this sick feeling someone had watched me the entire time, waiting to see if I'd notice, and I had. I didn't want to stay another minute. The key was already in my hand when I reached the office again. I asked the man at the desk, same guy from the night before, if anyone had checked in nearby. He looked at the registry book, flipped 2 pages, then shook his head. Nope, you're the only one on that end. I asked again about the cameras. Still broken. Then why are they blinking? I pointed toward the one over the main entrance. He didn't even look, just a dummy light. Doesn't mean it's working. There was something about the way he said it, like he'd answered the question before, like he expected me to stop asking. I told him someone had opened my car. His answer didn't change. Maybe he just left it unlocked. I didn't. He shrugged, uninterested. Nothing ever happens out here. Back in the room, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the curtains. Couldn't stop thinking about the prints. The way they surrounded the car, how they ended. I checked my phone again. Still no signal. Wi-Fi wouldn't connect. I wanted to leave, but my body wouldn't move. Like if I got in the car now, something would follow me, or already had. It was almost 9 a.m. outside. The sun was bright but didn't feel warm. The lot was still empty, not even a bird. No sounds. Just that low electrical hum from somewhere behind the building. I walked to the car again, slow this time, looking for anything I missed. Bent down by the back tire. Gravel shifted. One more footprint smaller than the rest. Pressed deeper, like whoever made it had stopped and turned, facing the car. I opened the trunk, still locked. Nothing inside had changed. But on instinct, I checked the glove compartment. Inside was a folded paper. I hadn't left it there. It was blank, except for one thing. My license plate number, written in all caps with a thick pen. Nothing else. No message. Just that number. Whoever had been here knew my car. Knew it before I even stepped out of the room. I didn't even think. Just slammed the glove box shut, locked the doors, and started the engine. The motel disappeared behind me within seconds. I didn't check out. Didn't look back. I drove fast for 30 miles before I even let myself breathe. Then I pulled into a gas station, parked under the lights, and sat there gripping the wheel. I thought about that note again. The plate number written by hand, not typed, not printed. Someone saw my car, chose it, followed it. It wasn't random. I called the motel later that afternoon from a blocked number. A different person answered, woman, calm, polite. I asked if room 17 had been cleaned. She said no one named mine had stayed there. The room had been unoccupied all weekend. I hung up. Didn't say anything else. I never told anyone what really happened. I booked the trip myself, drove alone. No one was waiting for me that night. But now, sometimes, when I'm parked alone at a rest stop or pulling into a grocery store, I check the mirrors, not just for cars, for people, shapes. And once, 2 weeks later, I found a folded paper under my wiper blade. No words. Just the number, again. I moved in on a Thursday. The house wasn't big, just 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, nothing fancy. But it was mine, at least for the next 6 months. The landlord lived out of state and barely responded to emails, which I took as a plus. I wanted space, quiet, time. The neighborhood was sparse, older homes with big yards and no sidewalks. Trees leaned over the narrow road, casting everything in permanent shade. There were no streetlights, just porch lamps flickering through branches. My realtor called it charmingly isolated. I didn't think much of it at first. I brought everything in by late afternoon. Boxes in the kitchen, clothes in the bedroom. The house smelled like fresh paint and lemon cleaner, with a faint undertone of dust. It had been empty for a while. There was a home security system mounted by the front door. The landlord had sent the code 4 digits, easy to remember. I tested it. The little light turned green, armed. I felt better knowing it was there. That night I didn't unpack much. Just made the bed, plugged in my phone, and microwaved a frozen meal. The wind had started to pick up, but the forecast said nothing about a storm. Just scattered clouds. By 10:30, I was in bed. The silence felt strange. Not like city silence, filled with cars and distant voices, but thick and rural-like sound had no reason to exist here. I double-checked the locks, front door, the back door windows. All shut tight. The alarm glowed green again when I said it. Everything seemed fine, but there was a weight in the air. A kind of pressure. I told myself it was just nerves. First night alone, new space, new shadows. Around midnight, I heard the first rumble of thunder. Then the wind started howling. Leaves scraped against the windows like nails. Branches cracked somewhere in the dark. The rain came suddenly, heavy, almost sideways. I turned off the light and listened. The power flickered once, came back, flickered again, then went out completely. The room fell into darkness, and the soft green light by the door, it disappeared. At first, I waited. Sometimes the power comes right back, just a flicker, nothing serious. But 5 minutes passed, then 10. The room stayed completely black. No sound from outside besides the storm. No hum from the fridge. No tick from the thermostat. Just the rain hammering the roof, and the occasional groan from the old wooden walls. I reached for my phone. 12:41 a.m. The battery was at 18%. No signal. I used the screen's glow to navigate to the kitchen, stepping slowly to avoid bumping into boxes. Found the drawer with the matches and lit a candle I'd unpacked earlier. That soft orange light didn't help much, but it was something. I stood there for a few minutes, holding the candle, letting my eyes adjust. The silence had changed. It wasn't just absence of noise, it felt expectant, like something was holding its breath with me. Then I remembered the alarm. I walked back toward the front door. The keypad light was off. I touched it, no response. Dead, completely. I checked the wall socket nearby. Everything was still out, no power anywhere. My fingers hovered over the keypad one more time, unsure what I expected. But there was something strange about it. The panel didn't just lose power, it looked blank, as if it had been turned off at the source, not by the outage. By choice, I went to the circuit breaker in the laundry room. One switch was down. Only one. Security system, off. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even opened the panel yet. That switch had been flipped. I stared at it, cold now despite the heat in the house. Then I flipped it back up. Nothing happened. No lights, no beeps, no restart. Just dead plastic. I stepped away slowly, every part of my body suddenly on high alert. The storm outside felt louder, angrier, like it was trying to cover something else. I went back to the front window, pulled the curtain an inch. Everything outside was black, no porch lights, no movement. Just a flicker of lightning reflecting off wet pavement, and something in the driveway that hadn't been there before. A shape. Small, still, just past the edge of where my headlights had faced earlier. I didn't move, didn't even blink. That shape in the driveway, it wasn't a car, wasn't trash, wasn't anything I could explain in the seconds I stared at it. It just stood there, barely illuminated when the lightning came. Each flash revealed it differently. Once taller, once crouched, once gone. I closed the curtain. held the candle tighter, like that would do anything. I tried to tell myself I was imagining it. Maybe it was a pile of garbage bags or a tree branch that had fallen. The storm could have tossed something into the yard. But something deep in me knew better. That shape had weight. Stillness, intent. I backed into the kitchen, placed the candle down, and grabbed the only weapon-like thing I could find, my old metal flashlight. Heavy, cold in my hand. Then the sound started. Not from the driveway, from the back door. It was subtle, a shift in air. Then a soft click, like fingers brushing metal. Not the doorknob turning, but pressure applied, slowly. I moved to the hallway, every step silent, deliberate. I listened again. There it was. Another sound. Faint, rhythmic, breathing, not mine. Shallow, controlled, just outside the wall. I wanted to believe it was wind, that the storm was just playing tricks. But there was a weight behind the sound, a presence that didn't match anything natural. I turned toward the keypad by the front door again, almost out of instinct. Still dead. That wasn't a random power cut. Someone had flipped that switch before the storm hit. Maybe while I was asleep. Maybe even earlier. And the realization came hard. Whoever was outside had already been inside. They'd found the breaker. They knew where it was. I felt sick, like the air had gone thinner. Like I was suddenly being watched from every angle. The only phone was mine, and it had no service, no landline, no neighbors within shouting distance. I went to the back door and looked through the small window. Nothing, then movement, just a flash lower than eye level. Like someone crouched beneath the frame, waiting. I locked the deadbolt again, even though I knew it wouldn't matter much if someone wanted in. Every part of me screamed to run, but to where? In the middle of a blackout, on foot, through a storm? That's when I remembered, the attic. The previous tenant left behind an old ladder, folded in the hallway closet. The attic door was right above. I grabbed it, unfolded it quietly, and climbed. As I pulled the door shut behind me, the last thing I heard was the distinct creak of the back steps. Someone was already walking up to the house. The attic was tight, unfinished, and hot. Wood beams, insulation, dust. I climbed up and pulled the door shut behind me, careful not to let it slam. The flashlight stayed off. I crouched behind a stack of old boxes, breathing as quietly as I could. Below, the house had gone quiet again. For a few seconds, I let myself believe maybe it was over. Just a scare, a false alarm. Then the floor creaked. Not random settling, not wind, a footstep. Slow, heavy, steady. One, then another. No rush. Someone was walking through the house. I didn't move, not a sound. Just listened. The steps shifted wood to carpet. They were in the bedroom now. I imagined the layout, tracked each movement by sound. Whoever it was knew the space, or was learning it, then it stopped. No footsteps, no drawers opening, no voices, just silence. Deep, focused silence. It felt intentional, like they were listening too. I sat completely still, heart pounding so hard I was sure it could be heard. Sweat dripped down my neck. Then came the knock. Not loud, just 3 soft taps directly beneath me, on the ceiling. They knew. I didn't scream, didn't breathe, just waited. The silence stretched, then footsteps again, slow and deliberate, moving back down the hallway, away from the bedroom. No door slammed, no sounds of exit. Eventually, everything stopped. I waited almost 2 hours before climbing back down. My legs were numb, my hands trembling. The house was dark and still. Nothing was broken, no doors open. But every kitchen drawer was pulled out. Every cabinet left ajar. My backpack had been unzipped, and my phone still on the counter, battery drained. All photos deleted, the alarm keypad still blank. And in the middle of the floor, placed neatly where I couldn't miss it, was the breaker switch labeled Security System, removed from the panel entirely and left on the carpet. I didn't clean up, didn't repack. Just grabbed my keys and left. The rain had stopped, but everything was soaked. The road shimmered under the morning sky like oil on water. I drove with one hand on the wheel, the other clutching the flashlight, even though I didn't need it anymore. There were no cars, no people, just silence and that stretch of trees closing in on either side. I didn't stop until I hit a gas station off the highway, 2 towns away. I parked near the window, under the light. Full visibility. Got out, looked around, heart still racing. No one followed. I went inside, bought a charger, asked if I could use the outlet near the front. The clerk didn't even look up, just nodded. As the phone powered back on, I sat on a cracked vinyl bench and stared at the glass door. Every second, I expected a figure to appear, a shape I'd recognize. I told myself I was being paranoid, that nothing actually happened. But then the screen lit up, no service, no photos. My backup had failed, nothing from the last week remained. No call log, no texts, just a message I hadn't noticed before. Sent 3:14 a.m., why did you turn it back on? No number, just those words. I deleted it, tossed the phone in my bag, and walked back outside. The lot was still empty. Except for the car parked 1 row over. It wasn't there when I arrived. Mid-2000s sedan. Dirty windows, no plates. Inside, on the dashboard, sat something small and metallic. A breaker switch. Same shape. Same size. Same label. Security system. If you've ever gone through something similar, or know someone who has, leave a comment below. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the stories and where you're watching from. It really helps. New ones are always on the way, every week. The next story could be yours.